in class, not exactly something everybody wants to do, but everybody eventually has to. In order to get along in class, there are a few tips that I can give you that will help you get through the day. First of all, timeliness is very important when it comes to classes. Secondly, distractions should be avoided at all costs. And thirdly, there are times when talking is okay, and there are times when one needs to learn how to zip it. When it comes to class, there's nothing more frustrating to a teacher than someone who can't make it to their lecture on time. It doesn't only bother the teacher, but it also keeps the students from focusing on what they are already learning about. MyCollegeSuccessStory.com has an article that goes on to say that being tardy every now and then is inevitable. Something comes up and one has to be late for whatever reason. But one must not make it a habit. Being late is shown as disrespectful. Along with getting to class on time, one should also stay for the entire duration of the class, unless otherwise noted. When it comes to attendance in class, it's best to always email the instructor ahead of time to avoid any misunderstandings and so that the instructor knows what's going on and can plan ahead. Tardiness for class can be very distracting to the teacher and other students, but that's not the only distraction we'll find in class. Distractions are everywhere. Cell phones are the #1 biggest distraction for everyone. If one is expecting a severely important phone call, it's best to notify the instructor ahead of time and then excuse yourself once it actually happens. Not everyone in class needs to hear your conversation. Majority of classes don't even allow food within the classrooms. So before one goes ahead and brings their chips and their drink in, they need to make sure that it's allowed within that classroom. And even after that, they need to learn to be respectful to the other students around them so it doesn't distract others with what they're doing. Side conversations during class is very rude. Nobody likes to be interrupted or to feel as though people aren't listening to what they came here to learn about. It's much more respectful to the rest of the class and professor if somebody waits till the class time is over to share the important information. Staying attentive in class is also very important. One comes to this class to learn, so teachers shouldn't find students sleeping, doing homework for other classes, or messing around with other items. This takes the focus off the teachers and makes for a very unproductive day. Some distractions can be avoided by learning how to speak at the right moments. Talking during class can either be a good thing or a bad thing. First of all, when it comes to communicating with your teachers, it's best to call them by the correct and appropriate address, according to OregonState.edu. If an instructor has earned the title doctor or professor, it is best to call them by those preferred names rather than a first name or a simple Mr., Mrs., or Miss. It's always best to listen to an instructor's directions the first time. An instructor having to repeat directions 100 times will eventually end up making them very annoyed. Asking questions in class is always a good idea. Asking why and to get something clarified is also a very good question. There are a few questions that should be avoided though, such as questions that were on the syllabus. Teachers do not like to go over the core rules that they set in the beginning of the semester. Also, personal questions should be avoided at the classroom as that is not the time or the place. Contributing to class discussions is always a very good idea. Some classes even make grades out of doing so. This will make you look as though you understand the material and are willing to participate and engage in the conversation. As long as the comments you make are appropriate and you do not interrupt the instructor, contributing to the discussion will be looked upon as a positive engagement. Communication is extremely important as long as one knows when to do so. There are many rules one must remember while being in a classroom. These aren't difficult things to know as long as one is respectful. Just remember, timeliness is very important in the classroom, distractions should be avoided at all costs, and learning when to speak during class is very important. Classroom etiquette and respect should be common sense for students. Good manners go a long way. Just remember, manners are the basic building block of a civil society, said by Alexander McCall Smith, and one should always bring these skills into the classroom with them.